Chris Voss gave me a huge 1 year's worth of subscriptions on Patreon, and I'm grateful to him for bringing you today's video. Betor, Ancestor's Voice, versus Krenko, Jodah, and Lord of the Nazgul. Haven't seen anyone play Lord of the Nazgul in a long time, so that'll be interesting. One of my favourite decks that I've built in recent years. And as for our hand, we've got a turn 1 Serret Ascendant we can start gaining life with, but apart from that we've got nothing, so it'll have to be a mulligan. Into a 2-lander with a little bit of ramp, so yeah, we can't make black mana with Gaia Sage into Necropotence, but I think this is still alright, we'll keep it. Well, there's a black mana for us. I don't think we've got a Tricycle land in here. If we do, then it'll take us some of the way to that triple black for the Necropotence. Yeah, we don't have it, so I'll just go for the Shadowy Backstreet. No, we need green, so it's Lush Portico. Alright, and there's Godless Shrine, so that's the triple black. Once we get black with the Nature's Law, keep that on top. A Fire Diamond for Krenko. Lands over here are Vivid Creek and a Rocky Tar Pit, so we know the land we're drawing into. We could get Summoning Sickness away from Gaia Sage, although it won't tap for mana anyway until it evolves. So we might as well make it Nature's Law, I think. And Surveilling with Nature's Law, there's a Cabal Coffers. We'll have 3 swamps, so any swamps after that makes Cabal Coffers half decent. I'll regret getting rid of that, so keep that on top as well. Arcane Signet for the Dimir player, the Rocky Tar Pit is sacrificed here. Goblin Sharpshooter is the first goblin from Krenko. So that will be able to deal with our Soul Sisters. We'll have to be careful to try and buff them with plus counters as soon as we can in order to keep them in play. So in this case, I think we're best just getting down the Gaia Sage so it can start tapping for mana soon. We might be able to play Lathiel or Betor next turn. Yeah, let's just go like this. The first Nazgul from the Lord of the Nazgul player. So level 1 on the ring as a reminder. The Ring Bearer is a legend and can't be blocked by creatures with greater power. And the first legend, a Jodah from the Jodah player. Noteworthy Strip Mines appeared over here, so we might want to be careful playing the Cabal Coffers. And then 1 damage dealt to the Gaia Sage, so was eager to use Shatter Skull Smashing to get rid of Jodah. And that untapped the Goblin Sharpshooter, so I was able to get rid of the Gaia Sage. I was thinking that it's probably pointless holding back the Shockland and getting it in for 2 life, because Betor doesn't have anything to reanimate anyway. Apparently I should have held on to that. Alright, a Boseiju we'll hold on to for a little bit as well, get down the vault. And do we just get down the commander here? Like I said, if we'd known that we were going to have to reanimate that, I would have shocked down the Godless Shrine and then reanimated Gaia Sage with this. I think I'll just go for the commander as opposed to Necropotence. Sol Ring from the Dimir player. And then we see 2 commanders in a row, Lord of the Nazgul and the Ring Bearer swings in down the middle. 3 commanders in a row is Jodah the Unifier. So we're assuming no one has board wipes up until this point. Noteworthy Krenko has gone down to 2 cards in hand. And there's some chunky creatures in play. We've got 5 toughness, 6 toughness on Jodah. Only 3 on Lord of the Nazgul and the Nazgul. Manages to ramp a little bit with a Fractured Power Stone. And does not get down his commander, that is Pashalik Mons. Whenever another goblin you control dies, 1 damage to any target. Okay, there's a Temple Garden, so we can actually lose life and gain a bit of life here into the Lathiel. And that means that Lathiel will be able to put some plus counters on the Gaia Sage as well if we stack it correctly. Or actually I don't think so. We'll have to have a legal target for this when we put it on the stack, so the Gaia Sage will be back in play at least. Shocking, the Temple Garden. And then as much as I want a bit of revenge on the Goblin player, he's only got 1 card in hand, so we'll go in at Jodah, who is much more likely to be a threat much sooner. And now can go for Lathiel after the fact. And going through to the end step, Lathiel will have to put counters, a couple of counters, or actually 3 counters onto the commander, say done for that. And then Betor puts plus counters due to the life gain on Lathiel and reanimates the Gaia Sage because we lost 2 life and that's 2 CMC. But hopefully next turn we'll be able to get some plus counters on this thing. It might die again, but we can lose life to Necropotence and reanimate it again. So just a case of trying to keep this in play really. we can hold up Beseiju as well, try and punish anyone who interferes with us. Tower around the Sky Summoner to get more flyers into play, so I'll assume this is the typical cantrip variant. I just went solely reliant on the commander and then built a bunch of instants into the deck. Did a Dimir Spellslinger type build. Struggling on blue mana over there, which I don't mind seeing against a Dimir player. Means he can't quite as easily hold up counter magic, only 2 cards in hand over there as well though. And now the 2/3 Death Toucher swings in at us, that's fine. We could only block with the Gaia Sage and we're obviously not going to do that. The Gaia Sage might go down to the Sharpshooter, but Talrand is probably a better target. Then again, with fewer cards in hand, maybe not. He might be worried about us making a lot of mana. Evolving Wilds played and cracked from Jodah. Odric Lunark Marshal is another legend being played into Jodah. Creatures you control gain a bunch of keywords basically, and cascades into Linvala, which will give the flying. So he'll be able to swing in with the Jodah as an 8/8, and yeah, that legendary damage is going to become relevant. Hopefully we can keep the plus counters on this so that it remains a decent blocker. And we could try and gain a bunch of life next turn and dump all the plus counters on this so that it can block. And yep, as revenge, Jodah hits us and then pulls back. Yeah, and decides to just hold back, thankfully, so this could easily one-shot us after it's hit us for 8. So I'm glad they didn't attack us there. Alright, well, there's a Wheel of Fortune, so we're going to lose Cabal Coffers anyway, and the Beseiju. It's a real shame to lose that Necropotence, but if we can lose a bunch of life, we could reanimate this at least. Is there anything we want to blow up on the way out? We'll fix the Dimir player's colours if we get rid of Sol Ring. Yeah, I suppose going after Sol Ring is a good idea. Takes them down a mana at least. Okay, so we've got Esper Sentinel. Dark Confidant is a means of life loss as well. Although we can't control how much life we lose, this player decides to scoop after the wheel. Mustn't have liked the cards he was drawing into. So Path to Exile onto Jodah might be an idea, just to maximise the amount of mana that we're making use of. Yeah, let's go after Jodah. And in response to that, I thought the Dimir player was going to counter the Path to Exile then for some reason, and opt his Scry 2 and draw, so making use of that blue mana like we thought he would. Gets a couple of creatures into play. And now Jodah just seems to be stalling out on us as soon as he's seen the Path to Exile on his commander, so I'm hoping that he doesn't act like a total baby and just let it time out here. Didn't look at what was wheeled away actually. A bunch of lands, there's Counterspell, Omniscience. So he must have got into a better hand than that. Wheeled here was Fell the Profane and Cremate. Yeah, that player decides to scoop because he was getting his commander removed. So let's see what we get into here. Alright, Toxic Deluge. The removals just flowing today. And if we put 3 into this, then we could reanimate something. Let's see, we could put 6 into it and reanimate the Burning Rune Demon. And that would get rid of our opponent's board while he doesn't have blue mana held up. It does lose us the Lathiel, unfortunately. Let's swing in, see what happens. Could play Esper Sentinel to dump a bunch of plus counters onto as well. So swing in with stuff. Might as well gain the life while it's available. They have to be wary of Death Touch here as well. Alright, so a Drake chump blocking the commander. That does not have trample. So we go up to 49. We will have gained, what, 11? Yeah, 11 life, so that's a bunch of plus counters. Problem now is we can't go for 6 on the Deluge, because it will lose us our commander as well, so our opponent might have saved himself there by making that block. So I mean, he might just quit to a board wipe here anyway. We have to play around these things on Magic Online, unfortunately, so why don't we just go for our card draw into play. And this way we can hold up removal. The Gaia Sage evolves, so that will be able to tap for mana. Can still only hold up 1 piece of removal. Betor can put the plus counters on the Esper Sentinel. Lathiel can distribute 11 plus counters, so we'll put 5 on the Gaia Sage and then 3 on each of these other creatures. So this is a bit more of a fun way to do it anyhow, even though Toxic Deluge reanimating this wouldn't have been the worst. In hindsight, actually, the Betor could have put some counters on Lathiel to make the Toxic Deluge not kill off the horse. If we could have put everything above 6 toughness, then yeah, that would have been an ideal play for us, I think. Do manage to get into a third island over there. And Lord of the Nazgul does have a full grip. Plays Command Sphere. He's certainly not going to be able to pay the tax because this is a 15-15. So draws us into a Lightning Greaves. If we have to replay things, then be able to give them haste, which is good. Another Nazgul. He's got double blue held up with his rocks still. Tempted by the ring, we'll take him up to level 2 on this. So the ring bearer will loot whenever it swings in. And we're at a point where we're going to be forcing them to start blocking, really. And they choose not to swing in, so let's see about getting rid of their commander, maybe. No point in exiling it, so we'll just go for Beast Within onto Lord of the Nazgul. And then if they want to play anything in response, it will draw us a card, most likely with Esper Sentinel, as well as trigger the Talrand and the commander on the way out. Alright, there's the counter spell. So, yeah, I think we're just going to go for the Toxic Deluge anyway. So let's allow them to counter this. And then see how much life we lose to the Dark Confident. We don't lose anything, but that is a pain land at least. And there's a Bloodthirsty Conqueror, so whenever an opponent loses life, we gain that much. So we could put them between a rock and a hard place here. We could swing in with a bunch, but they just get to chump block anyway, so I think we have to do the Toxic Deluge thing, I think. But we don't necessarily have to go for 6 life. There's 5 toughness. Yeah, 5 toughness is the highest, which means we lose out on a couple of things, but we can still then swing in after getting this down. So I think that's the play. Lose some life to the Caves of Koilos as well, which will actually put us on the 6 life loss this turn. Because it's 5 from Toxic Deluge and 1 life from the Pain Land. So 5 here, and then black and black for the Conqueror. And for the fun of it, do we just go Vault of the Archangel? Yeah, our opponent scoops to that. If this is the game you see as ever, then it's the best of a bad bunch, unfortunately. This was debuffed to a 10-10. I don't think we could have... No, we couldn't have afforded to give this haste with the Lightning Greaves, unfortunately. But it's a 1-3 lifelink and a 10-10 lifelink swinging in after we activate the Vault of the Archangel, which would have triggered this. Our opponent goes down to 25, and then we gain the life. Our opponent loses again. So it's just even more plus counter shenanigans. We lose 6 life, so we could go for, where is it? Reanimating the Burning Rune Demon, which means we search our library for 2 cards. 1 goes into hand, 1 goes into the graveyard. So set something up for reanimation, put something else in our hand. We could grab something that we actually want and then Eternal Witness, maybe, something like that. Reanimate Eternal Witness and grab back the One Ring or something that will refill our hand, grab back Necropotence with it. I'm not entirely sure what we would have tutored for there, but that was what we were setting up. So as ever, Magic Online players don't like playing against actual removal, unfortunately, although in all fairness we did actually just draw into all of our removal. I don't actually have that much spot removal in here, but we just drew into all of it, so looked pretty commanding during that one. If you want to see more from Betor, Ancestor's voice, then be sure to let me know. Seems as though this is a fun commander to play. Really enjoyed playing it for this very short stint. Apologies if this is the gameplay you see, but this is just how it is on Magic Online, as you all know. Massive thank you to the patrons for their support through all this. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.